Hey guys, welcome back to unboxing. I think we're on number 4 now. This stuff has been an accumulation, that's a good word, of I think the last 2 weeks. Some of the things I need for my rigging and stuff that are in here, so I need to just crack them open basically. And there's there's one unique thing in this box here which is pretty cool, which I wanted to show you as well, so it kind of did 2 birds with 1 stone. A couple of things I got from Amazon that I actually bought myself, and then I'll explain when we get there as well. So let's get into this. I did open this bag because there was a lot of weight actually in this bag itself, and I wanted to make sure that nothing was broken before I contacted Amazon, blaring at them saying, why did you send so much weight in a bag over a box? But there we go. Now, one of the things that was included in there, nothing overly exciting, this thing itself, but just a 2-pack of XLR cables. Nothing overly exciting, but these are basically spares. And you might think, what are they spares for? Now, Rode has very kindly sent me 2 of these pod mics. And they also happen to send over with that a Rodecaster Pro. So I've got 2 microphones, I've got a Rodecaster Pro, and also 2 of these setups with the red and black cables, matching the theme of the channel, of course, and 2 stands. So take a guess at what's going to be happening this year. Very generous of Rode. And just as a kind of preface, the actual thing that will be happening with that stuff, I will be mentioning in there that it was recorded on the Rodecaster Pro, but it wasn't actually a sponsored video, because they've sent all that stuff over, which if you were to add it up, that's a lot of money's worth. I'm just going to be saying a big, like, it was recorded on the Rodecaster as a thank you to them basically for the value that they've sent. So that was what those cables are for, and a little teaser for something this year as well, so look forward to that. Other things are included. I got another 10 feet black and red cable, the same ones that are actually on the stands. This is for my shotgun microphones and boom arms, just to match the theme because I thought they look cool over plain black. I've got a set of ballistics. Now this is an 8 gig 2400 megahertz, which is really quite low, but this is an 8 gig kit, and it'll make sense because for those of you that don't know, I will be doing some builds on the channel in probably the next month or so. I've got a couple lined up. One is a personal rig for me because I've had the one in the background for 10 years now, and it really needs a refresh. And thanks to you guys, I've managed to get to a point where I can get things a little bit easier. Thanks to the audience and everyone that's watching now, it's possible. So thank you to you guys. But these sticks are basically for troubleshooting because they're such a low memory and speed that they're not going to be demanding. So for example, if I'm using 3600 megahertz sticks in a system, that can be a cause of issue sometimes, and troubleshooting RAM is often quite can be one of the things that is an easy fix to actually post and then boot into Windows. So these are basically for troubleshooting. Along with that, I also got a set of Vengeance LPX. Again, an 8 gig set, 2 4 gig sticks, and these are 2666 for the same reason. So I know ballistic sticks are really good. They generally run on anything, as with the Vengeance as well, because they're basic. These are basically to troubleshoot. I've got other ones that I'm using in my builds and stuff, but these are backup pairs basically if anything goes wrong. Easily swap them out and have other ones on hand to make life a little bit easier than having to order a set at the time. Just got them ready if I need them. I think that made sense. I waffled on a little bit, but we got there in the end. Now the packet on the top, I'm not going to do it right there because that's where it is. Is another set of Vengeance LPX, but this one, so this one was 2666, an 8 gig set. This is a 2 8 gig set of 3600 So relatively fast. Generally 3000, 3200 is what you'd probably use. 36 is a little bit faster. This is for potentially my own PC once I've built it with what I was planning to use in the first place, because I did get some previously, which I think is 3000 megahertz. This is obviously quicker, which I might swap out into after. And it also frees up the other RAM because that's RGB, whereas this is just plain. And then also I can use it on any AMD Ryzen stuff because Ryzen processors prefer fast memory. 3600 is the sweet spot for Ryzen as well. So that's that there. So a plethora of RAM. Could do a thumbnail with that. So yeah, some troubleshooting there, some potential upgrade path around there as well. So let's do, I think I'm going to do this one last because it's probably the most unique thing we have here. These ones are for, we've definitely got a couple of different themes here. We've gone from audio to PC hardware. Now we're going to filmmaking now. This is a set from Newer. As you may know, Newer are a company I work with pretty closely. They're a really great team to work with. So in here we've got, oh my geez, this bit isn't overly exciting. Some clamps for putting up green screens and stuff. Always handy to have. There's 6 there. And then these are sandbags. Now I think there's 4 here, there's 6. So literally, let me get one out. You fill them up with sand, as you would probably expect by them, being the sandbags. They are double walled as well, so an internal zip, which will do. And then you've got another zip that goes the other way. So one goes one way, one goes the other. So that's going to make sure that there's going to be no leakage of sand. But you could put the sand in a pouch anyway if you wanted to before you put it in there. But these have loops on there. So if you want to hang them from things, if you want to put counterbalance weight when you're, maybe holding up a heavy light, you can do that. Especially with C-stands, when you have an arm. You can do that on there. You can put them over C-stand legs as well if you're going to be supporting a lot of weight on the arm itself. So they're a filmmaking essential pretty much. I've needed some, and Newer just happened to say that they were sending me out some. So that was really convenient. They've also got a little bit of, there's a metal groove I can feel in there as well, so that will sit over the leg better and it won't move about. So not something for everyone, but for me, something that's very handy. Okay, following on, this bag has pretty much been destroyed. So so this one, microphone arm. So you can get loads of different varieties. These are basically £10 on Amazon. Now Rode actually do a variant of this which is about 6 or 7 times the price, so for what you're paying this isn't too bad at all. If you want a cheaper alternative. I don't think we're going to use these for the podcast because they're just going to get in the way because we've got a bit of a cramped setup, but I'm sure we'll find some way to implement these. But good to show, good to mention, because they are, as I said, really affordable for anyone that could do with a swing arm for their desk setup. You can see I've got one on my desk here. They are really nice to be able to just push them out of the way when you're not using them. Definitely if you're just using one microphone, it's a good solution. But if you're doing a podcast, and like I said, for our scenario, desk ones are the better way to go. Now this one looks like just a booklet. Now if you watch my reviews, I have a red filter, and if you watch my one more video, I actually implemented another light, which is actually a Newer SL60, kind of like a Aperture 120D light with a softbox on it. that had a purple gel on it. Now these are different colour gels. There's a real nice selection actually. The ones I've got already, nowhere near as vast, but obviously the red is the one I use for my videos. Then I put on the purple to add a little bit of contrast in colour. So as I said, when I found those out, the purple was one I used, I think on the One More Quad Driver video I did a couple of weeks ago. I want to try and do a little bit more with colour in videos for the visual aspect, because I think it does make the reviews look a lot better and more appealing. I could do with a couple more SL60s from Newer, I think, in terms of doing more colour work, because you can put them further back because they're so much more powerful than LED panels. I've got a couple of the LED ones, you know, the square panels, but you have to get them up close because they're just not as powerful as something like the SL60. So we might try and get a couple more of those, then we can put them further back in the room and just blast the colour across the walls. Whereas you have to get up close, and trying to do everything in such a small space with LED panels is quite difficult. So, so let's get on to our last thing. Okay, so this one was essentially sorted by Sam. Now, hopefully you'll watch this. I'd hope so, because he knows that this has arrived. So thank you to him for getting this sorted out, because it's really quite a nifty little thing. After I looked on the website, I thought, yeah, this is going to be quite interesting. So it's peanuts. Oh no. Now this looks like first impressions. Well, it's certainly different. So this is a very unique controller. There's loads of different options. So a Xeron, is it? This is a 3D printed, I don't really know how well you're going to be able to see this, controller for your left hand. Now this was, I designed this like to how I wanted it. So for example, I've got large hands. I wanted a molded wrist rest. You can have a straight one or a molded one. I went for a molded. Oh, this is so, I'm so out of my depth right now. So how intricate it is. I'm just hoping that the camera will pick this up and actually focus, because there's so basically the long story of this is all of these little parts are connected, and you put your hand, it's like a mech robot suit, is what it feels like. So like around here you've got a joystick button, there's a joystick here, full joystick, it's got a press in there as well. This one goes up and down, left and right, clicks in, and then you put your fingers in, and then you've got controls everywhere. Wow, this is weird. So you plugs in with USB. I did pick the colours as well, as you probably guessed, because it is black and red. But this is crazy. I've never seen something like this. But I've got to say, look at the engineering wise, very impressive. So you have different length. So yeah, you've got large hands, medium hands, small. There's adjustments for the curve, the colors. I'll put the link in for like this in the description, because it's really quite technical. But basically, this is designed to remove the keyboard aspect of your gaming and put everything into a more ergonomic solution that just gives you a lot more flexibility without having to move your hands very far. Oh, that's weird. There's even one you can press up with your thumb as well. So like, to give us the first impression of this, what has Sam got me in for here? And I'm pretty much lost for words. I really don't know what to make of this thing. Very cool. So stay tuned for the review of this, after I've had a couple of weeks to play around with it, because this is certainly something I've never used before and will take a little bit of getting used to, I would assume. I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, subscribe and ding the bell so you don't miss an upload. If you want to see other stuff like this, probably not quite as weird as this, then stay tuned. I'll see you all in the next one.